Thank you for letting us ask you these questions in the first place. So our first question is, you're known for creating life-size stencils of people, and how do you choose these people, and what is it about the people that you choose that you want people to learn or remember?
I generally choose people who are sort of outsiders, people who've pushed the boundaries of their fields, or sort of controversial figures, but generally they're people who are trying to make the world a better place, I think, or rather than themselves better, they're trying to make the world better and communities better, I think.
And you talk about the stencils, and they go in specific locations. Why is that important, where the stencil goes? Why is the location important?
Well, I like choosing, the location's really key to me. I call it this term psychogeographic. So the person I choose may have lived in that building, or worked or lived or died in that building. There's one on Holloway Road that I think is just gone, but I'm putting it back soon, called Joe Meek. He was a record producer. He was, and he lived, worked, and died. He's the only one who filled all those the criteria down by Holloway Tube. So the location, because it's almost like without the religious aspect, it's almost like trying to conjure up this alchemy, this spiritual energy around a particular location. But it has to be, it's like with Mary Wollstonecraft, had to be on that wall because she lived, worked near there, and possibly would have even walked past that building. So it crosses time almost. That's what I'm trying to do, is and remember the person from 200-300 years ago as if they were there now. Or you could go back 200-300 years. It's quite tangible, malleable, this thing about time. And also it's addressing and rebalancing this. If they may have had a bad press, it's just correcting everything and showing them, an honesty and a truthfulness about that particular person, I think.
And this programme that we're doing over the 6 weeks holiday is about craftivism. So using art and many different types of art, and then working with activism. And do you do that in your work? Can you tell us maybe about a certain example that you've used that kind of marries up your activism or what your political views or understanding is with your artwork?
I've done countless people over the years, but it's interesting trying to find a link between them. But just for example, a collection of people: Tony Benn, a left-wing politician; Nye Bevan, founder of the NHS; Billy Bragg, sort of a left-wing political protester. So there is a connection with protest, slightly left-wing. They're talking about trying to make the world a better place. So obviously during lockdown, which we're all in at the moment, another thing you could think about is virtual art. So even though I have a stencil of Billy Bragg, I made using my Photoshop, using the computer, made a virtual stencil of him on the wall that he would like to be on. So he doesn't actually exist, but it doesn't matter. You can still, it's still a way of communicating and showing your work. It can be there, it can not be there. But the act of doing it is good either way.
And it's very relevant because at the minute, with things going on with the statues, there's lots of ideas on new statues that you could have or what should replace. So this idea of virtual statues or virtual stencils is one that everyone's talking about at the minute too.
Yeah, especially when I did the stencil of Mary Wollstonecraft at Newington Green in 2013. There's lots of different things going on and conversations, but it's great to know that soon there will be a statue of Mary Wollstonecraft. And even though it wasn't down to the stencil of Mary on the wall creating the statue, it's just little bit part of the conversation as a community we've all had to get this thing done. And sorry to use a political term, get this thing done, but it's a positive thing. But it'd be a good thing to do as a project, I think. Virtual arts, protest art. Because one thing you could do at home in terms of lockdown virtual art is you could come up with a figure. It could be a family member, it could be a politician, it could be someone in your community who thinks it's made a difference. And what you could do is draw him as though you've made a stencil, like the Mary Wollstonecraft on Newington Green. You could do your own one on an acetate sheet using a black pen, like a Sharpie pen, a very fine one. And what you could do, once you've done it, it only has to be A4 size, but you could then hold that up on a wall where that person you've drawn has a relevance. Whether it's your granny, your granddad, or whether it's Stuart Lee, the comedian from Newington, or whoever it is, you could find a wall that person has a connection with, and hold that the acetate sheet up, and then photograph the wall through the acetate sheet, and it would give the illusion it's 6 foot high if you get the angle right. It's a good. So you're not worried about getting into trouble by not having permission, and if all of you did that, I think as a collection, a body of work, I think it would look wonderful. But it's important to think about, often the way I work, it's a black image, black outlined, filled image. So the wall it has to be quite a light coloured wall for it to be visible and work. So think about the application of the work, how the contrast. Equally, it could be a white render of a drawing, or white drawing on acetate on a black wall. So you could use that therefore would be the highlights of the individual rather than the shadows, because basically I draw the shadows, but it could be the highlights. So it's you can do whatever you want, but working black or white is often quicker to do and more graphic and communicates better, I think.
That's great. Thank you, Stewy. So that's our challenge this week, is we're going to be asking you to create your own stencils on acetate and find locations in your local area of people that you want to remember and their story to be told. Thank you very much, Stewy.
That's okay. Thank you.